Let me know if you want to tilt it forward or back.
All right, well, when is a common not a common? That is a common that's not a common. It's a T206 Piedmont back, Jake Beckley, and that is graded a near mint to mint 8. And if you're asking the question, how many PSA 8s are there? The guy to answer that is Leighton Sheldon of Just Collect. You don't see a lot of PSA 8s, and that's why this card is not a cheap one, is it?
No, it's not. In fact, it's actually the only graded PSA 8 of Jake Beckley, the Hall of Famer, from the T206 set. And there's actually only one card graded higher. It's a PSA 9. We've actually just put it out 48 hours ago for the first time for sale, and there's actually quite a bit of collector interest at the moment. There's a very good chance it will be sold by the end of the National, and maybe sold by the end of today.
We call him a common, of course, but he is a Hall of Famer, but not a guy that rolls off the tip of the tongue.
No, it's not exactly Ty Cobb or Christy Mathewson or Walter Johnson, no.
In this case, it's the grade, and it's the fact that it's a tough card to find in that grade. Yes. And people always think of, well, it's the corners, but it's more to it than that.
It's the colors, the registration, it's the centering of the card, and it's the crispness. If you look at that red background color and the way that the KC stands out in the gray flannel jersey, it's incredible contrast.
And this is the type of stuff that you guys deal in a lot, so anytime that you have cards that are tough, you're buying, right?
We're always buying, actually, not just high grade though. We buy low and middle grade cards, we buy tobacco cards, we buy candy cards, we buy 1930s, 40s, 50s, and 60s cards. And of course we'd love to have them in top shape. However, we'll try and take them as they'll come. And for example, if you look at another Hall of Famer, from a little bit of an earlier time period. This is an 1895 N300 John Ward, second base variation from the male cut plug set.
Monty Ward. There you go.
And what's great about this card, although it's only graded a new SGC 35, which is a new half grade, which is a 2.5 PSA equivalent, it actually has more of an X appearance. And you may ask yourself why it's not grading higher. That's because long ago,
oh boy,
it has a tiny, tiny bit of paper loss. And what's so interesting about this card is that as a collector or an investor, if you decided to buy this card for your collection, the fact that it has that tiny bit of paper loss, even though it looks X, you'll end up probably saving a few $1,000s in the purchase price, but have a card that virtually looks just as good as a card that would be a 5, even though this is only a 2.5. So yeah, I think this card is great. And the last few cards I'd like to show you for now is we have a few M116s for sale from the Sporting Life series.
The pastel colors on the back, we've seen a lot of these cards come up for auction in various places, and that's the one thing that everybody references, is that it's kind of a softer version of the T206 just in terms of the looks of these things. But the Sporting Life was a newspaper, kind of like the Sporting News, that came out a little over 100 years ago, and they put out some beautiful cards.
Yes, they did. I was actually fortunate to be part of the Philly Find, which is the #1 graded PSA set at the moment, and probably will forever be. It came from the family of the people that printed the cards. So although the cards I'm holding in my hand don't compare, they're still really nice for the grade. We have Roger Bresnahan, the blue background variation, in an SGC 84, which is the equivalent of a PSA 7. We have Sam Crawford, another Hall of Famer, blue backgrounds. And you may ask yourself, why doesn't it grade an SGC 84 PSA 7 equivalent? It's an SGC 80 equivalent PSA 6. And to be honest, I really couldn't tell you. The graders would have to tell you that. And then lastly, this is actually one of the most difficult cards to find from the M116 set. It's Smoky Joe Wood, and it too is in high grade in an SGC 80.
And for a guy who's starting out, whether he's an investor, collector, whatever, you always recommend buy the best you can afford, right? I mean,
absolutely. If you have a budget like everyone does, the best thing for you to do if you're going to be purchasing cards for investment or even for your own collection is try to buy the best that you can afford. You'll always do better in the long run buying quality and buying a little bit less, but owning better material.